You have sports that are involved in this year's festival in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved sports movies. Who doesn't? But this year we've got this great Yogi Berra documentary called It Ain't Over.
One of the greatest World Series resumes of any player ever.
Amazing documentary about Stephen Curry, underrated.
I'm constantly trying to find a space just to be able to survey my life.
And then this wrestling documentary about Helen, it's called Helen Believe, and she was the first woman to win the gold medal in freestyle wrestling.
The doctor said forget about wrestling. But I'm not done yet.
So what makes you decide to go down the path of having sports movies in your film festival?
You know, ultimately every year we want to find the best movies. And it comes down to that, but you know, I have a sweet spot for sports movies between that and music movies. Those are my those are my sweet spots. So we always got a few of those in the mix. And you know, it frankly just worked out perfectly with these two documentaries. I mean, Yogi Berra, I mean, is there a more quotable sports figure ever?
He says nobody goes to that restaurant anymore. It's too crowded.
When you get to a fork in the road, take it. What?
And then Stephen Curry, what he's done, like not on the court, not just on the court, but what he does, he and his wife, all these great things, and where he came from and where he's at is just like, they're just perfect stories to tell.
How do you go about judging putting sports movies in the festival?
Now, these particular films, we work with studios or distributors to decide what we're going to showcase. And Apple had the Stephen Curry documentary, and they also have a Michael J. Fox documentary, which is also fantastic that we're showing. And they were interested in showcasing them, and they were just great. And the same thing with the Yogi Berra documentary from Sony Pictures Classics. It's going to be, and both these films are going to be released very soon. And so we get a little sneak preview of them before they come out in theaters.
Okay, you say you like sports. What's your favorite sports movie?
Oh man, I gotta go Bull Durham, because it's so like cinematic, and it's not just a baseball movie.
Yeah.
It's so deep, the drama and the comedy's there and the sports is there. But man, that relationship and the mentorship going on, there's a lot of sneaky things, and Kevin Costner looks cooler than he's ever gonna look in his life in that movie. But man, it's so good. It just gets me every time.
I saw A League of Our Own the other night, and I get choked up at the end every single time. And it's when you see Betty Spaghetti out on the diamond, how do you not love Betty Spaghetti? You not see Tom Hanks, who's just a grumpy Gus of a manager out there having some fun.
And then you have the moment where the woman finds out her husband passes at the war, and you're like, oh, they just kind of rips your heart out. But it's like, this is a great thing, you know, they're built around sports, but there's like the humanity in these stories. And that's what's great about these documentaries. You know, we hear about Yogi Berra, we know about like all the things that he's done on the field and all his quotes, but you get to hear more about him as a man and what he did in his life. And the same with Steph Curry. I feel like, in my mind, Stephen Curry might be the greatest shooter ever. No offense, Larry Bird, but man, as soon as he comes across the court, you got to guard him. You know what I mean? Like, he could pop it up from half court with no effort. And so, like, to see that, but then also see where he came from growing up and, like, his relationship with his wife. Like, you get to see, like, the human side of these people, which is really cool.
And I think about everything.
The third documentary, if you could walk me through that a little bit.
Oh, sure. It's about Helen Believe. She was a freestyle wrestler. She did some of her training here. She was involved in the Sunkist Kids, the wrestling group. And so this kind of shows like what she did. And how like her success and kind of what she's done afterwards, and that was in Rio 2016 when she won that gold medal. And there's a lot of local connections, and we picked up that film because one of the producers produced a documentary in 2021 that won our best documentary. And so he's like, hey, I have this new film, and we took a look at it, and I'm like, oh, it's a great fit. We should do something special and big with it. And so that's kind of where that one came about.
If people want to come to the film festival, how do they go about it?
You know, the first place you start is our website. You go to phoenixfilmfestival.com. There's a thing for films, and there's a whole schedule. You can kind of hover over. You can click on things, watch trailers. We have 275 screenings, so it's a little, it's a little, a little overbearing, But and some people like the hard program catalog. We have those at our office. You can flip through that, 72 pages of what you should do and what you can see. And we have parties and seminars, workshops. It's just a great place for movie lovers.
Anything else you want to add I haven't asked you?
I think the aspect of having filmmakers at the festival, and that's what kind of separates a film festival from just going to the movies. You have a filmmaker there, like, for example, for the Stephen Curry movie, Peter Nix, the director of that documentary, will be here, and so we'll talk about it afterwards. And so it's cool to watch the films and then, like, learn about how they made them and learn about why they made them. And we have so many films, probably 70, 80% of our films have filmmakers coming in from all over the world.